Are you trying to watch some Kurzgesagt with me? Babe? Where'd she go? What the fuck? Babe, you in here? Anybody watch Kurzgesagt with me? What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Micah, this is Winston. As always, we're just going to dive right into this. This is Kurzgesagt. You are not where you think you are. And as always, we're just going to dive right into this. So let's roll.
Look around you. Where are you? Where is this place you're occupying? Somewhere in a room, maybe in a city, on a continent, on a planet orbiting a star in a galaxy among billions. But where is all of that? While this may feel like a daft question, it turns out that the concept of an absolute position is something humans made up. In a nutshell, the universe is a big bag of space that has things in it. If someone removed all these things, the stars and planets and black holes...
Well, yeah, because I mean, technically, there's nowhere that we are. Because I mean, as we already seen from the freaking from the thumbnail, the sun isn't just stationary in this. I think that's where the misconception comes from. We just think of the sun as just stationary, sitting, floating in the in the solar system or whatever. But in reality, it's it's going along with the solar system. The solar system is going along, and we're just it's just pretty much floating through space. Not to mention there's other factors going in there, but let's see.
Holes and dust, there would just be empty space left. In empty space, the concept of having a position loses all meaning. Empty space is uniform, the same everywhere. The space we occupy is not like a stage under our feet. We can't mark specific points or staple something to space-time as an anchor. Without things, there is no position. We are really ever only at a position in relation to something else.
That's why, technically speaking, there on the Earth, in space, there isn't technically there no north and south. Like once you get in space, there's no north and south. So whenever you're looking at Earth, you can look at it upside down. And technically, that's correct. Like, and which technically speaking, if I'm not I'm pretty sure Vsauce did something on this, but I have to see. Where it's something like the Earth is actually upside down from what we think. Like whenever the space shuttle or the astronauts came from Earth, they saw the picture of the map or whatever, but it was upside down. So what they saw, Canada was on the southern side or whatever. What we say was the southern side, while Mexico and all that was up north technically. And yeah, and what they did was just switch it around so that we wouldn't go crazy and stuff. But technically speaking, nothing was wrong because there is no north and south in space. They just went up and saw what they saw. So it's kind of weird to think about, but yeah.
Which also means that things we take for granted, like up and down, are actually relative too. Okay, let's fill the universe up with things again and try to find out where you are right now, relative to everything else. Let's start this video at a familiar place and then get increasingly weird. From your perspective, the world is seemingly flat and you can move in 3 dimensions. It's what physicists call a frame of reference, the perspective you have of the universe and how you see things moving around you, where your up and down is. Your frame of reference is correct for you, but not for the rest of the universe. Around 5 kilometers from you, where the horizon...
In other words, thank God for gravity, because without gravity, we'd just be floating out in space. I mean, gravity and obviously our terrestrial Earth, where we have an actual hard ground, because, I mean, obviously, on a planet like Jupiter, if you're just floating in space, or out there, you wouldn't probably have a concept of up and down and all over the place, because you would just be in a thick cloud floating, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, just... concepts.
begins, the ground noticeably curves away from you. If you could see through the ground, you'd see people from below or sideways. But they don't fall down off the planet because gravity doesn't actually pull them down. Down is an illusion of your reference frame. To Earth's reference frame, gravity just pulls in. But for humans there is an up and down because within our frame of reference that just makes sense. Which is also why we think that the planet itself has an up and down, north and south, and we made our maps accordingly. But an observer looking at the solar system might disagree. Our maps make sense to us because we're used to them, not because they are correct. Okay, so this is step one. Your position on what feels like a flat surface but is actually a...
Yeah, exactly like how I was just saying, like, I'm pretty sure that was an actual thing. Like, whenever they came up out of from Earth, they saw Earth, but it was upside down, and they were just thinking, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we looking at? But in reality, think about it, there is no up and down in space. So yeah, it would make sense. It's just, you have to comprehend it, and it's really hard to comprehend, you know what I'm saying?
sphere. But this sphere is always moving, never staying in one position. Earth is orbiting a star, the Sun, at the center of the solar system. While we usually imagine this as pretty orderly, someone looking at us from the outside would see something pretty messy. To see this more clearly, we'll exaggerate all these movements. This is not to scale. First of all, our orbit really is an ellipse, so we spend half the year sinking a little bit closer to the Sun, speeding up, and half the year rising up a bit and slowing down. And the ellipse itself changes its shape every 100,000 years too. And in another cycle of 112,000 years, the ellipse itself is drifting, which at least...
Which in relatively, I'm pretty sure all not all 9 planets, but all, like, everything that's orbiting the sun, except for like maybe a couple of asteroids and stuff like that, are in a kind of elongated oval pattern, if I'm not mistaken. So it's actually pretty common.
The ellipse itself is drifting, which at least creates a beautiful shape. In the end, we get an orbital path that looks like a wobbly circle with wavy edges. And it gets worse as the moon now starts to mess things up too. As the moon is a pretty massive thing, it pulls on Earth. Both objects orbit their common center of gravity that lies around 4,700 kilometers off to the side of Earth's core. In practice, this means that as the moon orbits Earth, it's jerking Earth around a bit, enough to make it jiggle. Okay, so you're standing on the surface of a rotating planet that is jiggling around the Sun in an elliptical orbit that changes a bit every year. But who's to say the Earth is right? From the perspective of the Sun, the plane of the solar system is arbitrary. It's defined as the plane the Earth...
Yeah, and may I say too, just honestly, because I love learning about everything. Honestly, that's why I named the channel the way I named it instead of like something history or something. But just the thinking about the solar system and just amazes me, because we don't have a very common solar system. Our solar system is very rare in the universe. Because whenever we look out in others extraterrestrial solar systems, stuff like that, we don't see very many big Jupiters like how we see our Jupiter out. Usually if we see a hot Jupiter, it's super close to its sun, and it's just getting baked alive pretty much. Or what I'm saying, we don't see how we have our different Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter, and Saturn. We don't have that's very rare. And to see all of our all of the inner planets as not super close, but just a perfect like distance from the sun, that's also very rare, because usually you have them super tight into the planet or to the sun. Like, it's ridiculous how close it is. And I don't know, like usually they get tidal locked, all types of stuff. In fact, that we have Venus and Earth. Like, Earth in itself is a miracle, because again, super Earths are really common, but tiny little Earths are not. And that's super cool to me, that we live on a very rare planet in a very rare solar system. Just not a lot of people know that, think of that or know that, but just something I want to put out there.
Orbits in because that is convenient for us. In reality, the other planets are just a little bit inclined with respect to our plane. From their point of view, we're the ones with a slightly bent orbit. But this isn't it, far from it. The solar system as a whole is orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. If we look at the Milky Way, we can clearly make out a galactic plane in which the solar system orbits the center every 230 million years. But of course, it's not that simple. First of all, the plane of the solar system is not aligned with the plane of the galaxy. Nothing really is, just like the planets in the solar system orbit the sun on their own.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, is Sagittarius A star what's the word, going around. I can't think of the actual word, but is what we're orbiting. Is what we're orbiting around. which is a black, which is a black hole. If I'm not mistaken, too, they just took a picture of it, which is so cool to me. Like, that's the second picture of a black hole that we've ever captured, and the fact that we're now being able to capture black holes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just imagine what the future holds. You know, like, I love the fact that our knowledge in science and stuff, it just builds with every like 50 to 100 years. It just builds upon itself like ridiculous amounts, to the point where like 100 years ago is like, we thought, what, you know what I'm saying? Because like 100 years ago they didn't even know like our universe was this big. Like, as if I'm not mistaken, Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy was just discovered like as an actual galaxy. Like, it was discovered by Messier, if I'm not mistaken, in 1700s, but he thought it was like a bunch of stars, like a solar, like a bunch of stars, you know what I'm saying, like a cluster of stars, pretty much. And it wasn't until like 1920s, 1930s where they actually found out that it was a galaxy, which means that that's another galaxy that's aside from our galaxy, which means that our universe went from being like this big to, you know, infinite in the span of like, you know what I'm saying, just 100 years. That's crazy to think about, but yeah.
Planes, so do all the stars orbiting the galactic center. The solar system as a whole is tilted about 60 degrees towards the galactic plane, speeding through space at almost 1,000,000 kilometers per hour. Someone in the center of the galaxy would see the orbits of the planets moving through space in a helix shape, which you can imagine as a corkscrew motion on the tilted plane of the solar system relative to the plane of the galaxy. This orientation in space means that sometimes the planets are sort of in front of the Sun as it orbits around the galactic core. Let's just look at this for a moment. There is a strange and eerie beauty about how our planets and the Sun move through space. Do you feel a bit dizzy? It gets worse. This is still not the whole story, because the mass of the galactic disk is constantly pulling on the solar system.
Yeah, I always feel like everything, instead of like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's kind of almost weird to think that everything just orbits like on a plane, but I guess not really, because I mean, we look at Saturn and its rings are orbiting on a flat plane. I don't know, I always think like, if something's orbiting like that, wouldn't it be orbiting like all around it, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, not just I don't know, it's hard to explain, but obviously, if we're orbiting, if we're going around it, if we're going in front of it, though, maybe, I don't know.
Too. Like a drunk dolphin, we're diving down and shooting up hundreds of light years through the galactic plane 10 times every orbit along arcs thousands of light years long. We haven't mapped this motion out completely, as it takes the solar system tens of millions of years to go up and back once, and well, humanity is not that old. Let's look at your relative position again. On a planet tilted towards the Sun, jiggled around by the Moon, in a solar system tilted towards the galactic plane, moving forward in a helical shape, diving up and down through the plane. But where is up in a...
And even more crazy about that, which I really want to get into, is there's also something else pulling on our galaxy. It's called the Great Retractor or Attractor. We don't know what the hell it is. We just know it's something huge because it has enough force to pull, that's pulling us in. But it's on our same it's on our same galactic plane. So we don't know what it is, so we can't see it. But we know it's something pulling us in. Personally, I feel like it's maybe like a cluster of a whole bunch of other universes and stuff. Maybe we're getting pulled out of this huge void that we're in. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, who knows? It's kind of scary to think about, though, that something that big has enough force to pull our entire galaxy, and obviously Andromeda too, because we're pulling Andromeda towards us too. But that's just insane to think about. Kind of really scary, though.
Galaxy. At this point, the frame of reference becomes a bit arbitrary and pointless because of the nature of the universe at this scale. The Milky Way is part of a galaxy group that appears to be part of greater structures like the Laniakea supercluster, which itself is part of the gigantic Pisces-Cetus supercluster complex, and finally a galactic filament that spans hundreds of millions of light years in all directions and orientations. Someone looking right at us from that far away will only see the end of...
Yeah, pretty much that. One of those huge superclusters, I feel like, is probably what's pulling us in, which is, again, is kind of cool to think about, but kind of scary, because, yeah, if we're going to find, you know, life is most likely going to be in that, but at the same time, how chaotic is it? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously not every solar system has life, every system, and not every solar system is peaceful. So who knows? You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. Hopefully it's not a freaking black hole that's pulling us in though. One of those things though, like I said, I have to get into the great, look it up if you ever get a chance. It's called the Great Attractor or something like that. It's something that we just cannot figure out what it is, but yeah.
Someone looking right at us from that far away will only see the end of greatness. All stuff appears homogeneous, the same everywhere. Just like with empty space, when everything looks the same, who's to say anyone's view is better than anyone else's? We've reached the end of our little exercise in cosmic humility. Let's make the journey backwards again, from the indescribably large to the really large to our galactic home, to our galaxy, to the solar system diving up and down through the Milky Way, to the jiggle of existence, and finally, back to you right now, watching this video.
This is why I love Kurzgesagt, because there's I think on almost all of their videos they always do let's go ahead and play that back and see the smallest to the very largest, because I feel like they did that with the black hole one, they did that with the star one, a few different ones.
If this is all a bit much, don't feel bad. The scale of the universe is brain-crushing, and trying to keep track of how everything is oriented or decide where the best up and down is hard. But it doesn't really matter, because it doesn't change where you are. You're already in the best spot you possibly could be, right here, right now. For all you care, nothing can stop you from being right at the center of your own little universe. Perspective really is everything. That's true for the universe we all inhabit, but even more so within your personal universe. The way your life will unfold also depends on what...
Alright guys, we're going to end it right there. So, yeah, just honestly another great freaking video. I love, if you follow me, especially if you are, see any of my community tabs and stuff like that, I always have these like kind of deep thoughts running through my head. Like, one of my deep thoughts that I think I wrote down in the community tab was, if you think about it, you know how like everybody always says, how aliens could probably, if they had a telescope, they could probably look at Earth and see dinosaurs and stuff like that. Well, if you think about it, there's planets close enough to us who, if they point a telescope at us, they would probably be seeing like huge Roman battles, or the conquests of Alexander the Great, and just all types of crazy stuff. And with that being said, if you think about it, and I wish I almost kind of wish that they would do a video on this. This is like definitely down their alley. But if you think about it, everybody lives forever, because no matter where a planet is in the solar or in the universe, there should always be a planet in the universe that if they point a strong enough telescope back at Earth, they can see any point in time. You know what I'm saying? In the past, anyway. Which means that at any point somebody could, or an alien point their telescope at you and see you, which means that your image never dies. Essentially, it's kind of cool to think about, but. Yeah, really deep to think about, but I kind of almost wish they would do a video on that, because it's kind of down their alley, and it's really deep thinking. But in case, thank you guys again for joining me on another episode of Mike's Intellectual Corner. If you guys like this one, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on another one. I'm out.